Hello, in this video we'll take a look at the assignment in Unit 3, Activity 2. And this assignment will have two parts. You can download both parts by clicking this link right here, Literary Devices and Propaganda Assignment. And what you'll see is a document that looks like this. And Part A will be an assignment based on literary devices. And Part B will have a question related to propaganda. So we'll be covering the assignment will be covering the two topics that we covered in the content. And so if we take a look at the instructions in Part A, it says, provide quotations which contain literary devices from chapters 1 through 6 of Animal Farm. Identify the chapter where you found the quotation. Briefly explain the literary device in each quotation. A direct quotation and an example and an explanation for foreshadowing has been completed for you as an example. You're responsible for providing a quotation and an explanation for the other literary devices in the chart. So if we take a look, foreshadowing, I've provided you a quotation. So the animals trooped down to the hayfield to begin the harvest, and when they came back in the evening, it was noticed that the milk had disappeared. So that's at the very ending of Chapter 2. So that's a direct quotation, and it's an example of foreshadowing. So I've given the quotation, and now I'll give a brief explanation. So the missing milk foreshadows that something is wrong after the revolution on Animal Farm, and that not all the animals will be treated equally. So you've got a quotation with an example of foreshadowing, and then an explanation of why that's foreshadowing. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a quotation in the first 6 chapters that's a simile, and then provide a brief explanation on the meaning of the simile, or why it's a simile. You're going to find a quote from the novel that has a hyperbole and then explain it. Another quote that has an alliteration and explain it. A quote that has an onomatopoeia and explain it. A quote that has repetition and again explain it. And then a quote that has a rhetorical question and explain it. So you're going to have 6 quotations that you're going to find, and a brief explanation for each one. And of course, I do want you to identify the chapter where you found each of the quotations. All of your quotations should be from chapters 1 through 6, which is what we've covered so far at this point. Okay. If you need a reminder about the definitions of each of these literary devices, you can go back to the content in this activity and find a definition and an example of each. Okay. All right, the second part, Part B, is going to ask you a question related to propaganda in the book. And so it says, fully explain how the pigs use the propaganda techniques from Unit 3, Activity 2 to manipulate the other animals. Include at least 3 propaganda techniques and specific supporting examples from chapters 1 through 6 in your answer. So I would suggest that this answer is probably going to be, at least 8 sentences. It's probably going to take you at least 8 sentences to fully explain how 3 propaganda techniques are used and to provide supporting examples from the book. If you do need a review of the propaganda techniques, you can always just go back into the content of Unit 3, Activity 2. And of course, you've got your literary devices that you can review here as well. But if you go down to near the bottom of the page, we have our propaganda techniques, and we have 7 of them. So I'm asking you to find at least 3 of these that are being used in Animal Farm and to provide examples to prove it. Okay, so it doesn't matter to me which 3 you choose, but show me that at least 3 propaganda techniques are being used in the novel. I would suggest, hint, that the pigs are doing most of are using the propaganda techniques for the most part in the novel. So look at what they are doing. Okay. All right, and that's your assignment. You can complete it right on the Microsoft Word document here, or you can download this document and turn it into a Google Doc or however you normally complete your assignments. Or if you want, and this might be a little more challenging, you can copy and paste the chart into a Google Doc, and you can copy and paste the propaganda question into a Google Doc or whatever it is that you use and answer the question that way. When you have completed the literary devices chart and when you've answered the propaganda question, as always, submit your work to the Dropbox, which is right here. If you have any questions, please let me know.